Hey y'all, so this is just going to be a user's guide for the Efficient Analyst journal. Already done a walkthrough that was, just like bird's eye view of the journal, all the pieces and parts we've got going on, how it all fits together, and this is going to be like a how-to guide and how to use the journal. I don't want any of the functionality to be lost on you guys, and my intention for creating the journal was that it would be like efficient and easy and impactful. And I think it's important that I show you how I use it so that you have total control and you understand and it feels intuitive for you as well. So to get started, we'll just do like a brief overview again of what we've got going on the front page. And then after that, I'll take you through the daily write-ups. And in there, I'll kind of show you how we use that page, which is like the main workflow. And then from there, I'll show you how to use the functionality there to get into the databases and to add into the databases. And then I'll show you how to input your trades, how to look at the stats that are going to get aggregated, what it looks like when you have multiple trades in there. And then I'll take you through a daily review. And the daily and the weekly reviews are the same thing. Basically, the weekly review has a little bit more detail in it, but the functionality is the same. Um, so everything you learn in the daily review will be applicable for the weekly review. And there might be a little bit more here and there. So overview, Efficient Analyst Journal. This is going to be the base journal plus the daily and weekly reviews plus the automated statistics. So here for the artifacts of price, the one thing to note here is the artifacts of price, like we said in the walkthrough, this is a place for you to like aggregate data, things that happen in the market, stuff you want to track. This is how you build your edge. This is where you put all your screenshots. And then eventually, this is where you link the artifacts in your trades so that you can get statistics in there as well. Inside of here, this is the fair value artifact. There are all of these things that are linked. So what's nice to do with the artifacts is instead of going new page and creating a new artifact or hitting new here and creating a new artifact here, what's nice to do is to use the duplicate me for new artifact instead. And all you have to do is click this, hit duplicate. It'll aggregate one, I think directly below. Yeah. And then here, just change this to new artifact, whatever the new artifact name is. And the reason you want to do this is because it's a really quick way to make sure that all of these, like this table and all of these artifact stats are linked to this artifact. If you do a new page here, like a base new page, you can still do that, but you have to manually add the filters here. So you can see you'll have to click here, you'll have to put in the filter, and that's fine. You'll just type in like artifact 2, and sometimes it takes a second for it to populate. The artifact 2, so we'll see if it's populated already. We'll go here. And here, so it is artifact 2. So so you can do that, that works. But if you go to this, the new artifact page, you'll see this table, it's already linked to it because this one is already linked. So that's the easiest way to add a new artifact. And then all of the statistics, all of the filtering, it's all done for you. It's all there. So use that. That's great. Do the same thing for setups. Just if you have a setup, first you can rename these, obviously, because you might not trade any of these setups. And then after you've done that, you can duplicate this, create a new setup. Everything will be tied to the right tables and stats and just makes setup a lot easier. The reflections we already went through. In the walkthrough, I think I showed you how to create a reflection. In this user's guide, I'll also show you how to add it to your trade and then show you where it aggregates in the daily write-up. The notes, this is great, just quick to-do list, and then the study sessions. Again, quick to do. The one thing to note here for the study sessions is the best workflow for this is you'll hit new, it'll aggregate here. This should aggregate with a group of buttons. I mean, it will. Sometimes it takes a second. So there it is. I like to work in the study session above the buttons rather than below it. So what you'll do is you'll open this and then you can type, and the buttons are all here. So if you're doing a study session, ideally you should be in full screen so that when you're in full screen doing a study session, if you ever want to enter any of these databases, it'll open up in Side Peek. If you keep the study session inside Peek here and then try to open a database, it'll open inside Peek also, but then you won't have the study session. So that's just like a Notion user tip. So that can be useful. And then down here, this is the trade stats page. And so for the trade stats page specifically, there are these callouts. And this is just to remind you that everything down here is aggregate of all of your trades. If you want to filter it and you're not familiar with Notion, these three dashed lines are the filter. And here you can do all the filtering that you want. If you just want to filter trades, like this year, or like just like is before today, or like is today, you can do all of that here. If you want to look at like just trades that are part of data collection, you can do that. So you can filter everything here. By default, everything is just aggregate of all of your live trades. So this will be a running tally of all of your live trades. And then here, it's just the same for everything. So any of these, if you want to change the filter, you just do that here. You just change what you want to look at here. As we scroll back to the top, we'll see the daily write-ups. And so that's, aside from the front page, is this, the daily write-ups page is going to be the most commonly used page. It's where I spend most of my time. And that'll be this page. So what you'll do is you'll just click new daily write-up and it'll aggregate this page here. You'll see this is the date for me today, 7/4. And what I do when I start, this will all be collapsed like this. What I do when I start is I just open up everything from the bottom. And this is the full functionality of the daily write-up page. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the buttons. These are the same everywhere you look at them. These buttons are the quick way to add entries to your artifacts, to your notes, to your playbook, or your reflections, or you can open those databases by clicking here. The exit reason tracker. This is aggregate for the week, and the rules followed unbroken. This is also aggregate for the week. So anytime you enter a trade, you can put in your exit reason. It'll populate here. And if you followed your rules, it'll populate here. So then you'll know, like when you come in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'll be able to look like, okay, how have I been performing this week? Is there anything I need to change? If there's ever more red than green or just a lot of red, you probably need to do some journaling and like to review your journals and to see like, okay, like what am I doing? Like I'm not following my rules. I'm acting emotional or whatever it is. And this is how you get that data. And so the first thing that I do when I come into the journal is I start with the pre-market process. And this is just my way of organizing myself every day by doing the same thing. And for me, this process works. So I like to do it every day. And for you, if you don't have a process, you're obviously welcome to use this one. But I also just encourage you to create one for yourself. And if you create one for yourself, you can just change these headings to be whatever you want them to be and do your process every day. But for me, I look at the news. This is the US Stock Exchange news. I look at this, see what's going on. I'll come in here, I'll look at the daily, the hourly, the M5. I'll formulate a bias and a plan. And then this will be the daily review, which we'll do soon/next. Once I have all of this, then really I'm over here. And when I'm working in the journal to start, I like to collapse the pre-market process because that allows all of this data to be really close. If you keep this open in the beginning, the trade data will be a little bit disconnected from this, which is fine. But for me, the best workflow is by collapsing this. And then we get into the build out section. And so what I use the build out for is like this is the journal, right? This is today's page of your journal. And so this build out page is where I build out my day, and all of my thoughts and ideas go here. Everything that I'm studying for the day goes here, any screenshots. If I'm like on a call with my mentor, I'll put like notes about what he's saying in my mentorship. I'll put that here. If something like really important happens, I'll put that here. I trade 2 sessions in the day, so these are the 2 sessions. It just allows me to keep all of my notes organized. And what that looks like functionally is I keep my journal open on this monitor here, and then I have my trading software on the other monitor. And what I'll do is, every now and again, I'll take a screenshot and I'll paste it in here. And then if I still have more to write, like more to write about this screenshot, if I have more to write, I'll type more to write. And then once I'm done with this idea, I'll do 3 hashed lines. And what that does is it creates a page break. And that's just like Notion functionality, but it's good practice because it creates a page break within your ideas, which is important later. And so what we'll get into is I'll add a screenshot here. We'll say let's say this is about fair value. And then also I'll put in a trade, I'll mark up a random trade. Let's see here. We'll go here. Here. I'll put in a screenshot of a trade. That's fine. There's a trade there. And then again, so trade 50, risk 400, profit. And then A plus, I'll put my notes here for the trade. And so a quick note about entering a trade. When I enter a trade, I don't always like to be like in my journal recording the trade right away, because sometimes I need to manage my trade right in the beginning, or sometimes I just want to watch it and I want to continue to take screenshots and do notes. So what I will do is, instead of like filling out all of the trade data right away, I'll just come over here and I'll hit plus playbook. And what that does is it aggregates the trade, it populates it in the trades journal, and it tracks the time. That's nice because then when you're reviewing, okay, the trade time in the journal is very close to, if not exactly, when I entered the trade. And then when I get a second, I'll come back to this, I'll scroll to the bottom, I'll copy this, and I'll paste it into here. And this is where the page break becomes important. The page break is this horizontal line. Notion has a cool functionality where you can click paste and sync, and then it syncs these and it calls them blocks. This block has red around it. This block has red around it. These blocks are synced together. And what that means is like any additions that you do in this page will also appear here. And that's nice. So like if you go back and you have a detail you want to add to the trade, well, you can just do it here or here and it'll be synced. So that feels good. The reason the page break is here is because this red block can get like a little bit aggressive in what it copies sometimes, but it will stay limited by page break bounds. So this is just a way to make sure that you don't sync this block and then come over here and look in your trade journal, and then all of a sudden you also have all of this stuff above it in there for some reason, because this red box grew larger. Instead of that happening, you'll just have this little page break here. If that ever happens, you can just come over here and hit unsync, and it'll unsync it, which is nice. But the other nice functionality of having the synced page is, let's say it's 2 weeks later, you had this A plus trade that you're looking at, and you go back to look at your journal or your trade journal. You look at the trade and you remember most of it, but you don't remember kind of like all of your thoughts around what was happening during that trade. Well, you click here and this will show you where this page is linked, and you click this and it'll take you right to that page, to that journal, and to that spot. And then you can also look, you're like, oh, right, I was looking at this, I was looking at fair value, but I didn't have that linked. So that's why it's nice to do that sometimes. If you want to get back into the trade, you can do it the longhand way of clicking open playbook and getting into the trade here, or the shorthand way, which is just clicking the trade down here. So here's the trade that we entered. And now I'll take you through like how to fill out the playbook, how to fill out the trade, what's important. I was going to say what's not, but everything's important, but you don't necessarily have to do it all. If you're new to journaling, just fill out what feels good in the beginning. And then as you get really familiar with it, you'll fill out more, because really everything you fill out will inform the statistics that get aggregated, which is just more data for you as the trader. And the data here to fill out in the trade journal is pretty straightforward, actually. So all you have to do, you hit the ticker, let's say it's NQ. This part is not quote unquote necessary, but it is nice. So NQ is $20 per point, and then we had 3 contracts, and I'll show you why that's important in a little bit. Was it a live trade? Let's say it was live. Direction was long. Quality, we said it was A+. Time frame, this was the 5-minute. I think, yep. Objective, let's just say mechanical 50 points. Entry model, let's say any of these, let's just say it was an order block or something. Was the TP hit? The TP was hit. Exit reason, let's say we took some partials and it was TP. Do we follow our rules? Let's say we didn't follow our rules, which is like, let's say, this would be a great example actually. Let's say FOMO, because let's say we FOMO'd in here, we got our TP, but had we waited, we would have also got our TP. So we FOMO'd in here on this order block, but we didn't wait for the retest, and our rules say that we should wait for the retest. And so rules would be FOMO. Emotion, we would say maybe we were excited. We were like, oh fuck, there's our trade. And let's say we were feeling like really excited. So it was like a level 7 intensity, feeling really excited. The reflection, I'll get to in a moment. The artifact, let's say, oh, we have order block there, right? So like, this is where the artifacts come in. So artifacts, there doesn't need to be just one artifact, right? Let's say this trade included fair value and an order block. Like in your analysis of the trade, there were multiple parts of price that you study that were in there that aren't quite a setup, but they're like different functionality. So of like the way the market operates, and they're things that you study. So then you'll go to artifact and you'll click, okay, well, that was an order block for sure, but it was also fair value. And so now you're tracking that here. And then what you'll see is, if we go back to the analyst page here, and we open this fair value, you'll see that trade here. This should populate that trade. So you see, this is that trade here. It's in your artifacts page already. And it should also be, oh, I don't think we picked a setup yet, but it's in here. And so when we go back to fair value, and what that will be doing is it will be informing also these statistics about that artifact. And so this is a way for you to see like what artifacts of price are actually offering me edge. What is actually helping my trading. And that can be hard without objective data, because subjectively we have cognitive biases and all of these other things. But when you are studying and then when you are journaling, you can add the data and you can see verifiably, what are the statistics of the things that I'm using in trading. So I think that's pretty nice. I love it. I use it all the time. So we'll go back to this, and then the setup, we'll just call that, maybe a breaker. Time to kill, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Well, that was an M5 trip, 35 minutes. And the P&L. So the P&L, one of the things that I hated about journals is that in order to put in a P&L on a lot of them, you have to like look at your entry, type in the long form price of your entry, type in all of your contracts, do all of this stuff. When in reality, like on your broker statement or on your P&L or your trading platform or whatever, it'll show you the P&L. And so this is just nicer for me. Let's say this trade was like a 2.5R. Let's say we were risking 50. So I'll say we risked 50 and the P&L was 250. We said we took partials, so the P&L was 200, and immediately it says, oh, it was 2.5R. Sorry, would love for that. We'll just say it was on 100. So our R is 2. Was it win, loss, or break even? It was a win. This is points offered before break even. This is just for helping you analyze, should I be taking profit? Are all of these trades going break even? There's a stats page for your break even trades. If all of these trades are going break even, but they're also offering me 25 points, and my strategy has room for a modification, maybe I modify my strategy to at least take partials at 25 points or 20 points. It's just data. And ran. This is for trade management also, and there are statistics for these. I'll go over this later, but they're here. You have break even statistics and ran statistics. So you'll look at this and you'll say like, well, here it didn't run, but let's say, it hit your TP and it just went for a huge amount more points. Well, you would just click this and then it would aggregate it into your and ran. And then here, you'd say, okay, well, this gave me 1R, it gave me 2R. Let's say this is a different scenario, and let's say this trade actually went further and it ran, then you'd say it went 3R hit. And let's say this is where it gets a little bit subjective, so you just have to be honest with yourself about like what is a realistic target that I could have used. R offered, let's say, well, it gave me 2R, but it actually offered me 5. So that trade stat, if we go to daily trade stats here, open this, and then we go to broad cumulative trade stats, and we go to and ran. That trade is right here, and it shows you, breaker is giving me, because this is the setup we chose, right? We chose the setup was breaker, and now we go look at our trade stats. This trade aggregates here. This is the setup breaker. Well, right now, for today, I'm taking 2R for my breaker setups, but on average, they're offering me 5R. So if there's a big discrepancy here, you can look at these metrics for daily or for all of time, open trade stats, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And you can come in here and you can look like, okay, how are my setups performing? Like what are they offering me? And here, and what am I taking out of them? And this will help you tune how you're managing your trades. And so we're in here. We did all that. We hit this. And then these here and these here tie into this here. So because we told the automation that NQ moves at $20 per point, and we had 3 contracts on, when I hit 20 points here, it knows that if I would have just had my TP at 20 points, my R value or my P&L return would have been 1200. If it hit 30 points, well, my P&L would have been 1800. And if it hit 50 points, well, my P&L would have hit 3000. If you need to modify these and you're not fluent in Notion, you can DM me. I can show you how to change these. These are just what's effective for me. And for the RR, this can also be modified. If you need to, you can DM me about that as well. So that's like the nuts and bolts of trading, and like that, relatively painless, honestly. All you have to do is click through things. It's all pretty much auto aggregated for you. And then it populates the data. And then the other part of this is the reflection. And so if you're going to do a reflection, it's the same workflow as earlier. you'll want to open this in a full page. And then if you want to add a reflection for the trade right here while you're thinking about it, you can go here and hit new. And let's say it was like a moment of growth. This is optional. Reflections are optional. You do not have to do them for every trade. It's just like sometimes we take trades and they're just fucking excellent. Excuse my language, but they're just excellent. And you're just like, I just want to like remember that that was an excellent trade. And so you go in here and like executed calculated plan. Well, this was actually, we broke our rules, but let's just pretend we didn't break our rules. So planned the trade, traded the plan, took profits where planned, and it paid. So there you go. You have that. A plus trade. And then, you can, if you're sharing these with your friends or whatever, you can just type your name in here and you'll have your own tag. So you do that. You go back here. You just have to hit back on this and it'll take you back to whatever you're reviewing. And then for the reflection, this is a functionality you'll use in your playbooks and in your daily and weekly reviews. This today, growth, because we just did growth, we plug that in here and then it'll populate that here. So you just have it accessed, easy to work with, and you'll just know when you look at your trade, you're like, oh yeah, that was that trade that I like just did really well on. And that's it. Your trade is put away. If you are using a broker or a trading platform that doesn't allow you to look at your individual trades in total, you can use the trade profit and risk calculator. So what this will be is this is tied to your trade, to the trades. So this is the trade we just took, 7:55 p.m. This is the workflow that you'll use. And then all you have to do is this operates best if you just use the points rather than typing in the actual like numerical value of where the asset is trading. And so let's just say for this one, it was, the stop was 20 points away. We already put in that it was 3 contracts, but the stop was 20 points away. And then this is if you have a contract that hits the stop. Let's say one of our contracts hits the stop. So it populates here, -400. Well, let's say we had a partial. Let's say one of our partials was 25 points away and we had one contract there. Well, now we're $100 in profit for that trade. And we have one contract left. And let's say our last contract hit our TP and our TP was 50 points away. And we had one contract at 50 points away. Now we have 1100 here. And so what you'll do is you'll take this number. This here is just for the calculator. Then what you need to do, 1100 and 1200. Then what you would do is you would go here and you would type in 1100, 1200. That's the only manual part you have to do. And it's just the easiest way to make this switch is to just, I wanted the option to be able to put in the P&L if I knew it, or the risk if I knew it. And if I had this as a part of the other functionality, we couldn't do that. And so if you use the trade calculator, it'll populate here, and then you just go over here and put it in here. Again, super simple. You could also type it in up here. You can see everything is connected, right? And then I just use to close this. And then down here, you'll have your trade stats for the day. This will take you into the trade stats page. And this is just like another way to look at, cumulative RR. So we've made 8.92 R today. It's like a pretty good day. Calendar P&L. There's the calendar. Weekly P&L by day. And weekly R&R by day. And then average P&L by day. This is in total. Those are a couple ways to break down the P&L graph. And then you'll have statistics populate here as well. If we were to change, I think both of these trades were breakers. So if we were to change maybe this trade, let's change, oops, sorry. Let's change instead of fair value, let's leave it at order block, and instead of breaker, let's put in trend line retest, and let's check and see what our other trade was as well. This one is breaker and fair value. Okay, so now let's collapse this, and this will just show you, this is aggregating for P&L per setup, P&L per artifact, and yeah, so that's just populating there. And then you'll look here after our. And so then from there we can go, I think a little segue into the daily trade stats would be nice. So you'd click this button and it would bring you here. I have it open here, so we'll just go into there. And then we're at the daily trade stats. So here you'll see the daily trade stats. And when you get to this page initially, it'll look like this. And we can go from the bottom up just because it's nice to look at it that way. So here you'll have metrics for, day of the week, time frame, and direction. You'll have metrics for your artifacts. Then you'll have metrics for your strategies. The order block, fair value, order block. We haven't taken a loss. If we changed, let's see, let's go here. Let's say minus 400, and then we'll count this one as a loss. So then here you'd see the breaker, minus 400, average loss, average win, and then average P&L. And then here you'll see for strategy, breaker is the strategy, trendline retest, and breaker. So this is a way for you to, you'll have, when you have multiple of them together, it'll provide you with a way of comparing your artifacts with one another. So you don't have to click through them individually. You can come over here and you can just get a quick glance of like, okay, which of my artifacts or which of my strategies for today are performing the best, or for the week or the quarter or the year. The emotion rules and metrics. This is going to be again for the day, but it could be for all time, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. I think I do have trades added in here actually for that were another time. Yeah, so we have more data here. This is all demo statistics. But, these are emotions that have been logged for the whole year. These are cumulative loss and gain. So this is like a P&L representation of the emotions and the rules. Just to give you an idea, it's like just kind of nice to know, like, oh, when I'm excited, I'm making money. So like maybe that's a good sign. We have self-awareness. We're like, as long as I'm staying calm and I'm following my rules, but I'm excited, like that's a good sign. If I'm frustrated, that's not a great sign. If I'm disappointed, or I'm angry, it's just a way to kind of get a feel for what's going on internally and to allow that to be a little bit of a compass for us as we trade. And then we'll just stay on this page because it has more data. And then the broad cumulative P&L metrics. So these are all pretty self-explanatory. The ones that I think are worth explaining just a little bit is this one. We spoke about this. This is the and ran. This is just to know, okay, so my trades that I have noted as and ran, they're moving further than I intended with my profit, my take profit. How are they actually playing out? Well, it looks like for the VWAP high vol retest, I'm actually taking in 1R, and what's offered is 2.67R. Well, on your strategy, if your strategy includes partials, this discrepancy isn't crazy. If it's like, well, okay, well, I'm actually getting 0.5R for this, and it's showing me 2 or 3 or 4 or 5R, then maybe you're like, okay, something's going on here. Like maybe I'm like micromanaging my trades and I'm taking partials way too quickly, or I'm going break even and I'm getting stopped in profit. Um, it just shows you like on this specific setup, um, the and ran setup, this is what's happening, and it allows you to kind of diagnose that a little bit. You also have some of those metrics here, and then we'll go into the objective conversion metric. And so this is going to be about um, how am I converting my trades with their objectives? Are those objectives attainable? Am I shooting for the stars? Or am I like hitting that sweet spot? So you'd be able to filter. You could use the filter option here, and you could, that the default is objective is not empty, and that just means it'll populate all the trades where you've chosen an objective. But you can go in here and you can say objective is mechanical, and then you can just be like, okay, when I'm choosing to just trade for 15 points, how is that working out? And you'll look here, you'll say, well, the RR that I'm taking in is like 1.22 on average, and what's being offered to me is 3. And then you just do some introspection and analysis of your trades and see like, well, that seems like a fair, spread. Or maybe this is like 7 and this is 1, and you're like, okay, like obviously something needs to change. Or maybe you'll see like, oh shit, excuse my language, when I'm choosing an objective of 15 points, I'm just getting a bunch of losses. But when I'm choosing an objective of 20 points, I'm getting a bunch of wins and I'm hitting my TP. So this just allows you another filter into your trades where you don't have to like go through your playbook, look at everything and hope you remember kind of what you're looking at. These are statistics that for me as a trader have helped my trading. I look at these and it allows me to see like, oh, like I do really well when I just shoot for 20 points. Like I know like Instagram wants me to shoot for 100, but like the stats are showing me when I just shoot for 20 points, like my strike rate is nice. My strike rate when I'm just shooting for 20 points is 83%. Like, well, maybe I'm just going to shoot for 20 points from now on. So this should allow you to get some like real honest data about your trading and be like, oh, okay, this is what's going to help push my trading in the right direction. And then when we're done, we'll just say is not empty. If any of these filters get messed up, there is a backup version of all of your pages in your journal. Um, I won't tell you where it is right now because it ensures that you won't touch it and they'll remain safe. But if you ever have an issue and something gets messed up, just email me and let me know, and then I can guide you through to show you where the backup is, and then I can guide you through like to repair anything that's gone wrong. So don't have any fear if like you click something, it gets messed up, it looks weird, very easy to fix. And then BE conversion is we didn't have any trades that went BE. Let's just put these two real quick. It'll populate. So BE conversion, this is like for me, well, let's just read the tagline. Offers insight to determine if your break-even strategy is ideal or not. Check to see how often a trade runs in your favor and then comes back to break even. Does this align with your strategy or is tuning required? So what I will look for here when I'm looking at BE conversion, if I have a lot of trades that are going break even and they're offering me a lot of opportunity to take profit, it might be worth assessing my strategy for those specific trades. Um, so you'll just see them populate here over time, right? In a month or 2 months, you'll come back here, you'll look at your break-even trades, and maybe you say like, okay, this weekend, I'm gonna take a second to go through my break-even trades and see if I can find a commonality between them. And then you'll sit here and you'll use this tool, break-even conversion. And then let's say you wanted to filter for just a very specific setup, but you can go here and then you'll go filter, you'll put setup and then breaker. And like, okay, so my breaker setups that are going break even, like this is all of them. And then we'll see, you know, how many of those trades are going break even. What does the RR offered and the RR actual look like? How many of them are hitting 3R and then coming back break even? If a substantial number of them are, then, a little tuning. If not, you're good. And then at the top, this is just broad cumulative P&L and RR metrics. So this is just, the P&L graph everybody wants to look at, or the cumulative R&R graph everybody wants to look at. And then these are statistics around average loss, average RR, or largest losing trades. This stat is not on the front page, the largest losing trades. And then here you have most profitable trades. So this will just allow you to, very quickly come in and be like, oh, I know I had some trade the other day that was like really bad, and I just want to review that. You can come in here real quick and look at this. You're like, oh yeah, it was this one. And then all you have to do is click this. It'll populate the trade, and you can just analyze it if you need to. I didn't add any more statistics than this because the whole idea of this journal is just to focus on what matters, right? And this to me is what matters, and this to me is what has made me a better trader. So, if this feels overwhelming, you don't have to look at it. If it feels like it could be productive, come in here and click around, and I guarantee you'll find something that will help you in your trading. So to get there, we opened the daily trade stats page. And again, this was part of your daily write-up page, and this was because you clicked this button. If you ever want to go back to any of your other daily write-ups, all you have to do is click this button, and it'll show you other daily write-ups. So this is other days of your journal, and everything will be populated and aggregated there. The only thing I will say is if you do open an old daily write-up page, if you come down to the trade stats, this is going to be populated still for the current day. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to come here and say the trade is, the day is, and then you'll need to click the day the trade is here. You could maybe get into a rhythm where at the end of every day, you just took a screenshot of this and pasted it just right next to it. Like maybe your rhythm is like part of your review. At the end of the day, you just go screenshot, paste, and then like that was the screen cap for that day, and it was there or whatever. It's very easy to filter back to the day, but that's just a Notion workflow thing. But it does deserve to be said so that you guys are aware of that. Now, the last thing that we'll go through is the daily reviews. So we go main page, daily write-up here, daily review here. I have this review opened in this page here. The review can also be opened here by starting a new one. That'll look like this, or by opening the review list. It'll open all of your reviews here. So the daily review is kind of something that took form over time for me. You do not have to fill this stuff out here at the top. Like genuinely, you do not have to fill this stuff out. If you want to, it's more data for you, but you do not have to. The most important part of this is down here. This is where like all of the good bits are, but I will show you the top regardless. So for me, every morning I do my morning routine. How was my sleep? Do all of this. If you don't want to do any of this, the one thing that is nice to do is just link your trades and your reflections. And so your reflections, you'll just link the ones from today. So you'll go today, and then you'll see it'll populate the tags for those reflections. And then for the trades, you'll do the trades from today. So we'll do this one, and we'll do this one. When you do that, it'll show you your strike rate from the day, your P&L. These populate top down, left, right. So this is this. and this is this. So top, down, left, right. So you have your statistics here, and then you'll say like, was this day worth reviewing? Let's say yeah. Did I follow my plan? Yes. Did my plan offer me profits? Yes. So it's just some nice statistics to look at. And then here's like just the review part. It's the same flow as entering the daily write-up page. You just have to open these toggles. And we'll see these are the reflections that we had today. We can click on them real quick and it'll show us. So, maybe this is after work, or maybe, you forgot to do it and you're coming back to do it. That's fine. And then, this is the note as well. These are the trades. I will usually slide this over. You can put it wherever you want. I'll slide this over just so I can see a little bit better. These are the trades here. And then they'll also be populated here. So these are your losses, and these are your wins, and noteworthy opportunities. And then you have your rules over here. So how did you follow your rules? How were your exit reasons? We could have had an exit reason that was emotions, stop loss and emotions. And then so for the daily review, we would see emotions populate here. And then partial TP and stop loss. Stop loss is green because, some stops are part of the plan. They shouldn't be considered as a bad thing. It's only when they're paired with emotions and we've like mismanaged a trade that they could be seen as like being needed to be fixed. And then the trade stats is here again, which is the daily trade stats and just the other statistics that you were looking at. But if you want like more in depth for your daily trade stats, this will open up on the side and you can get into like the nitty gritty, all the other stuff that's going on here. And so, that's it. It's not the daily review. I wanted to keep it really simple because ideally you do like a more in-depth review in the week. But the daily review, you just want to kind of look at your stuff, see if you had losses, see which of these was your best trade, maybe make a note of it. Were there any noteworthy opportunities? What was the key takeaway and what's the general review? This doesn't need to take long. It's just a moment to reflect, get our hands on our data again, and to assess what's going on. The most important part of this process was to just click the linked trades here and the linked reflections here. And before we exit, I will show you just the weekly review just real quick. We won't go through it, but I will show you what the linking looks like. So we'll start a new weekly review. And the link daily reviews, so this will be here. So you'll have like a week's worth of daily reviews, right? So you'll just link them like this, and then it'll show you, so like in your daily review, where there was rules somewhere here. Did I follow my rules? My rules were intact. So then you'll go to the weekly review and rules intact, right? And this is a good reminder, review's finished. So did I finish my review? Up here, there is a reviewed. Click this, and then it'll populate here. Some stats, and then go full size. The trade stats. So this is the weekly trade stats now, so you'll have a weekly trade stats page. It'll be for this past week. And then your reflections, your notes, your rules, exit reasons, and your trade stats breakdown here. And then for your review, you have, again, your trades are auto-populated, so you can review your losses. They're here. If you want to filter anything, you can filter it here. If you ever want to add more data here, I like to keep things relatively clean, but if you ever want to add more data here, you click the three dots, you go to properties, and you can add whatever you want here. So let's say you want to also see your artifacts and your setups. You can do that, and then they'll populate here. And let's just say we want to see that here too. Let's see, artifacts and setups. So there we go, artifacts and setups, they're here. And then for the weekly review, it's a little bit more in depth. Review your reflections from the week, your notes, your general review. And this is Trader Dante's review. He made this public on Twitter, and I think it's great. And so I posted this in here for you guys. Once you get into the flow of it, it won't take very long, but this just gives you a chance. He's a great trader. Um, and I think it's worth paying attention to what he has to share. And so this is his way of doing his weekly review. And if you'd like to take that on as well, it's here. If not, there's the very simple review above. And then all of the data, like I said, is auto aggregated. And yeah, it's just ready there for you. So that is the user's guide. This was a little bit longer of a video, but I want to make sure that you guys like really know how to use the journal. I really actually enjoy this because I just know that I'm putting time into something that's making me a better trader by using the journal. Um, and so I hope you guys feel the same way. I would love to hear your feedback. Reviews are great. DMs are great. If you have any questions or you need any help, like figuring out the workflow, please just reach out. But yeah, I hope you guys get a lot of value from it, and I look forward to hearing from you.